So I'm going to share with you the syllabus document. Basically, this is the exam format for oral. I think you do know very clearly, okay, that oral is a total of 30 marks, 10 marks for reading aloud, 20 marks for stimulus-based conversation. Okay, so total will be 30 marks and you're given 10 minutes preparation time. 5 minutes preparation time and 5 minutes examination time. Usually they will not exceed 5 minutes. So you really have to seize the opportunity and really strike a conversation with your examiner as much as possible, because examiners, they will not want to hold you back, for longer than 5 minutes as well, because they have many other candidates that they have to examine. Okay, so in this case, be very strategic about it. In that 5 minutes after reading aloud, you probably, are left with one, maybe if you take 1 minute, you're probably left with 3 minutes plus to have a conversation. So make use of that 3 minutes to impress your examiner. Okay, so comes under reading aloud. Basically, for reading aloud, I think you're very familiar. You are basically test on your ability to pronounce as well as to articulate your words clearly, and your ability to read fluently with appropriate expression and rhythm. So there are many aspects to it. They're looking at pronunciation, articulation, fluency, right? Rhythm, as well as your expressions. So these are things that they will look at when it comes to reading aloud. Now, when it comes to stimulus-based conversation, they will assess you based on your ability to give a personal response based on a visual stimulus. And the visual stimulus is usually in the form of a photo, pictures, or maybe advertisement, whichever. And then you are supposed to engage in a conversation on a relevant topic. So our key idea here today is to be able to identify the topic even before you sit down in front of the examiner. Okay, so just to share my personal experience, actually, I was an examiner for Anderson Secondary 3 years back, I think, for O-levels. Okay, I think for Liana, Jerusha, and Yunxuan, you probably know my background a bit. Okay, for the two of you, Jiaqi and Tejasvi, I was actually a secondary school English teacher. Okay, so 3 years ago, I think I was assigned to go to Anderson Secondary to be an oral examiner. Okay, so if you were to take PSLE English, it's going to be the same as O-levels. O-levels is for secondary school, right? PSLE English, if you're taking oral exams, the examiners are all from different schools. They will not be your teachers from your school. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, if it's a school-based oral exam, then probably the examiners are teachers from other classes, not your class. Okay, definitely not your own English teacher. Yeah. So my experience was that I realized after examining 25 students, okay, I do realize, because back then the oral exam for secondary school, the syllabus was still the old one. Now they've changed to a new one. Okay, the new one basically comprises of a video now for secondary school. Okay, but you don't have to be too concerned about that. First, let's just pass your PSLE first. Okay. So I realized back then, after listening to them read 25 times the same passage, and the conversation, most of them would have said almost the same things because it's the same topic. And most of the time, in terms of their content, knowledge, and all, they're quite limited. So what really differentiates you from others is that if you're able to share your personal experience, because everybody has different personal experiences, right? So if you're able to share your own personal experience, and an interesting one, it really will just perk your examiner up. Because that was what happened to me, because I realized that a lot of times the students are saying the similar things over and over again. Okay. And of course, we don't mark them down for that. Yeah, we will not mark them down because, everybody is saying the same thing. But at the same time, I think if you were to just stand in the viewpoint of the examiner, it's really going to get a bit boring when everybody is saying the same thing. So really, if you can share some interesting facts, interesting experiences which you've encountered, he really will put your examiner up. Okay. Now, we will first, I think we'll go through those components for your homework first. I think not many of you did your homework. I know Jerusha did. Yeah. And I really appreciate the consistency. I think Liana did as well. right? Yeah. So for this one, I do understand, you just had your exams and all, but I still highly encourage you to attempt the homework before you come to tutorial, okay? Because then after that, you will be able to, I think it's more helpful this way, more relevant when we are going through. Okay, house rules, I think everybody is okay, so I'll skip. Vocabulary closed MCQ, right? The crustaceans called lobsters can be found in all of the world's major seas. Any volunteers?
What is crustaceans?
Crustaceans are a particular group of animals which have which are like, for example, crab, lobsters, crayfish, all this. Maybe I'll show you photos. I think it's easier if I show you photos. Hold on, yeah. Crustaceans, examples of crustaceans. They are just more than the common ones we know. Okay, there are some really exotic ones which we hardly see in Singapore, but probably there's one called langoustine, So crustaceans are a group of animals like, for example, it's a bit blur, this one. Crab, crayfish, prawn, mantis shrimp, krill, ostracod, barnacles, and all. Yeah, basically all this the sea creatures. Okay, sea creatures. So I mean, actually, called can have all these words in the options, right? Actually, are synonyms of called, but you need to make sure that it fits the context. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, someone typed in the chat the answer, is it? Let me see. Lots and lots of types. Yeah, Liana, correct. Yes, lots and lots of types of crustaceans around. I think the more common ones in Singapore would be lobsters and crabs, and they are usually quite highly priced. Yeah. Okay. Well, someone typed in the chat as well. Answer is D. Very good. Okay. Because if you were to fit this into the context, I think the only one that is acceptable is known as. Now, holler is when you actually, shout at someone. Okay. So holler back. Holler. Of course, holler it can mean calling someone out as well, but it doesn't apply to the context. We're not calling the lobsters, like we're not hollering at the lobsters, okay? So when people, okay, let's move on to the next question. When people think of lobsters, bright red creatures usually come to mind. Usually. Anyone? Yes, Jerusha?
B.
Very good. Yes, normally, okay. Usually is an adverb. Normally is also an adverb. In fact, all three are adverbs. Yeah. Seldom is mostly an adverbial of time. So still consider an adverb. Okay. So in this case, yeah, of course, normally is the one that best fits the context again. Okay. We don't say that it repeatedly come to mind. Constantly, repeatedly, I think is a little bit, in terms of the degree of meaning, is a bit far-fetched. Yeah, constantly possible, but normally is the best. Okay. Many people eat lobsters, and cooked lobsters indeed have a red shell. Yunshuan?
Consume.
Very good. What does consume means?
Eat.
Yes, consume means to eat. You're a consumer. But of course, sometimes consume can also mean you buy, you purchase something, you're a consumer. But in this context, of course, consume means eat. Okay. And then when we say slurp, okay, slurp means when you drink and eat something with a loud sucking noise. Most people will not slurp lobsters. Usually you slurp like maybe a juice or something, or coffee, but you don't slurp lobsters. Okay. So this one is basically to drink. Okay, great. Right. So indeed have in the wild, however, the animals can be many different colors. from orange to greenish brown to bright purple. Yeah, so many different colors. Okay, a lobster's eyes are on a movable stalks that extend from the head. Some deep sea lobsters are blind. Lobsters also have 2 pairs of antennae. They are covered with sensors, which help the lobster find food, enemies, and mates. Yes, Yunxuan.
Locate.
Because it's finding. Okay, it's not really seeing or observing, right? It's finding, so it's to locate. Amazingly, a lobster can grow a new leg or claw if it loses one. Do you know that? Yes, that's why some lobsters have like one big claw and one small claw, because the small claw just grown out. Okay. In addition to its 10 legs, a lobster has several structures on the underside of its body. Yes, Jerusha.
Bottom.
Yes, I think this one is quite straightforward. Underside has to be bottom. These swimming legs are called swimmerets. Okay, so this is an article on lobster. Any of you like to eat lobsters? No, you don't like? Maybe eventually you'll come to appreciate it. Lobsters are easier to eat than crabs, isn't it? And crabs are just so difficult to eat because of the small pieces. Okay, so that's that. Okay, we're gonna move on to open-ended compre. I think this part might need a bit more attention. Who would like to read? Shin, are you going to are you taking a hair dryer or something? Oh, charger, okay. I thought you're going to dry your hair or something. No, because I see that your hair is quite wet. So I thought you're going to dry your hair while listening to me. Okay, any volunteers for first paragraph on the island of Crete? Yes, Tejaswi.
On the island of Crete, during the age of King Moios, there lived a man named Delios and his young son Larcus. Delios was just an ordinary man, except for one special talent. He had an inventor of strange and wonderful mechanical creations.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Tejaswi. So some things to take note of. I think this introductory paragraph is trying to introduce the characters, right? Daedalus and his son Icarus. Okay, and he has a special talent of he's an inventor of strange and wonderful mechanical creations. Okay, good. Tejaswi, call someone else. Don't know. Okay, I'll help you with that. What comes after letter T? Yunshen. Okay, Yunshen is the next letter. Okay, paragraph 2.
For his great talent and skill, the Daedalus and his son Icarus were imprisoned in a stone tower by the tyrannical king. The king sought to keep Daedalus' skill for his own selfish gain.
Okay, good. Yeah. Tyrannical. What does tyrannical mean? I think it comes from the root word tyrant. And what does the tyrant mean?
Is it cruel?
Cruel and yeah. Basically, tyrant is someone who's really mean and cruel, very oppressive in a way, right? So tyrannical, this one, cruel and oppressive. Okay, Yunshen, call someone else, please.
Jiaqi.
Okay, Jiaqi.
I'll go to the toilet. Yeah, go to the toilet.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
In that case, I will call Jerusha.
Okay.
One day, Daedalus came with a brilliant plan to get him and his son to freedom. He drew up blueprints and designs to build a set of wings with the feathers dropped from the birds that would nest in the tower. With this invention in mind, Daedalus and Icarus